Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. I want you to meet Bes. He is an ancient deity who completely shatters, and I mean literally shatters, everything you thought you knew about Egyptian mythology. You know, when we think of ancient Egypt, our minds usually jump straight to those towering pyramids, the golden pharaohs, right? Or those incredibly serious, majestic gods weighing the souls of the dead. But what if I told you that one of the most widely worshipped figures in their entire history didn't look majestic at all?
I mean, we always picture these stoic animal-headed deities. Think of the jackal-headed Anubis or the falcon-headed Horus, just looking off into the distance in absolute perfection. But what if the most beloved god was actually the complete opposite? What if he was a little bit goofy, kind of frightening, and completely devoted to the messy reality of everyday human life?
The visual shock of Bes is honestly pretty wild when you compare him to those traditional gods. While the pharaohs worshipped elite deities shown strictly in profile, everyday people loved this full-frontal, rule-breaking rebel. Traditional gods were state-sponsored, distant, and rigidly drawn from the side to project the sense of perfect divine order. Bes, on the other hand, he stares right back at you, completely breaking the fourth wall of ancient art. It's a striking difference that tells us right away, this guy is absolutely not your typical deity.
Part 1. The Oddest Egyptian God, breaking the sacred rules of art and worship.
Unlike the serene statues of Osiris or Isis, Bes was depicted as this aggressive, really odd-looking fighter, ready to scare demons right out of your living room. He often appeared with a lion-like mane, a sticking-out tongue, and dwarf-like features. Sometimes he even wore a soldier's tunic and held knives or musical instruments. His job was literally to look frightening enough to terrify the unseen monsters of the ancient world. You can kind of think of him as a magical bouncer for your house.
Part 2. Mysterious Southern Origins, Nubian Imports, and Prehistoric Dwarfs.
Now, what's really interesting here is the ongoing mystery of where this unique guardian actually came from. The very name Bes holds clues to his multifaceted identity, bridging Nubian vocabulary with ancient Egyptian magic and ritual. In Nubian, Bes actually means cat, which makes a whole lot of sense given his feline, lion-like features. But it could also stem from the Egyptian hieroglyph Bezaz, meaning flame, or Beza, meaning to be initiated. That possibly points to ritual masks used by his earliest followers. Basically, his very name is a puzzle piece pointing south.
Tracing his timeline, we see he wasn't just some late addition to the pantheon. Dwarf figurines from Tel el-Farqa prove he had roots long before the pyramids were even built. From these early deposits in the pre-dynastic Naqada period, to brief mentions in the Old Kingdom pyramid texts, all the way to his widespread, passionate worship in the Middle Kingdom, Bes was always there. He was slowly rising from the margins straight into the mainstream.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is that Bes represented a cultural crossover, proudly wearing the feathered crown of the Kingdom of Kush. This is fascinating because it shows how ancient cultures borrowed, adapted, and totally embraced ideas from their neighbors. Bes was essentially an immigrant god who became the ultimate Egyptian household staple.
Part 3. Protector of the Home, the multitasking guardian of the common folk.
Let's shift away from the grand temples for a second and see what Bes was doing for everyday families. Because he wasn't just a fighter, he had a remarkably wild resume. He was the ultimate multitasking god of the nursery, the tavern, and the bedroom. His responsibilities included killing venomous snakes that slithered into the house, fighting off invisible evil spirits, and standing alongside the hippo goddess Tailret to protect women during childbirth. And because he drove away evil, he naturally became a symbol of all the good things in life too. You know, music, dance, and pleasure. He was a protector and a total party animal rolled into one.
His protective power was taken so seriously that later on, entirely unique healing chambers were dedicated to him and his female counterpart, Beset at Saqqara. It's truly amazing to realize that people would travel to these monumental chambers to perform rituals specifically aimed at curing fertility problems or seeking general healing. He moved from the humble living room into specialized, highly sought-after medical and spiritual sanctuaries.
Part 4. Face of a Guardian. Iconography on everyday objects.
Let's look at how everyday people kept Bes close to them. Remember, you wouldn't find Bes in giant state-funded stone monuments. Instead, his comical face was plastered on literally everything from the legs of beds to infant feeding bottles, proving he was the true god of the living room.
We find his image on magical curved ivory knives meant to protect pregnant women, and even on West Asian-style pottery jugs. Mothers actually trusted Bes to feed their babies out of bottles shaped right like him.
And incredibly, the devotion of his followers went skin deep. Dancers and musicians literally tattooed his image onto their bodies. This wasn't just abstract worship, right? This was people permanently etching his protection and his joyous spirit onto their own skin, just to carry him with them wherever they went.
Adding a slightly wild twist to his association with parties and trances, modern science has actually found mind-altering substances inside a Ptolemaic Bes vase. Traces of psychotropic plants like Syrian rue and blue lotus tell us that worshipping Bes involved deeply altered states, music, and likely some pretty intense trance-inducing rituals.
Part 5. An international deity. The global expansion of the oddball god.
So how did this humble, odd-looking domestic helper become an international superstar? Well, his popularity eventually exploded well beyond Egypt, spreading as far east as Central Asia and as far west as the Balearic Islands in Spain. In the Middle Kingdom, the Minoans in Crete were already adopting his female counterpart. By the late period, the Phoenicians and Cypriots had adopted him. And eventually, during the Roman era, he reached Ibiza. Yes, the ultimate party island of today was literally once under the protection of the ancient party god. Pretty wild, right?
The real crucial point here is his adaptability. As he conquered the Persian Empire by winning the hearts of the common people, he seamlessly adopted local clothing to protect his new followers. He didn't force Egyptian aesthetics on them, he became one of them, wearing Persian clothes and headdresses in the capital of Susa.
Part 6. Bes in pop culture. A legacy that survives millennia.
Let's bring this all the way to the present and look at how this ancient party boy still influences us today. From Neil Gaiman's legendary comics to Rick Riordan's novels, Bastut's quirky nature makes him the perfect, relatable ancient character to just drop into modern pop culture. Over 3,000 years later, and we still can't get enough of this guy's unique energy, whether he's a trickster in Saturday morning cartoons or a boss in a video game dungeon. Leaving you with a final thought on this explainer, with his weird looks, his fierce loyalty, and everyday heroism, you kind of have to wonder, was Bes actually history's very first comic book hero? Think about it. He didn't sit in a temple, he fought the monsters under your bed. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the oddest and arguably the most human of all the ancient gods.